I've seen a ton of questions about Havoc Demon Hunter, so today I'll be giving you guys 5 tips to get the most damage out of your Havoc Demon Hunters in Dragonflight Season 1. Before we get to that though, a lot of my viewers aren't subscribed, so if you're watching this and you enjoy the content, you find it helpful, consider hitting the subscribe button. We're so close to 3,000 and it would mean so much if we can hit that. But with that, enjoy the video. So, like I said in the intro, today I'm going to give you guys some tips, just some general all-around tips, to help out and get the most damage out of your Havoc Demon Hunters in Dragonflight Season 1. Be a few different builds. So I'm going to try and have this be a little bit build agnostic. There's going to be some things that are only for specific builds, of course. But I'm going to go over some of the things that I see a lot of people messing up, or I see a lot of people asking questions about, and just kind of some general tips to really help you guys out and just squeeze out every single bit of DPS out of your character as you can, do the most damage, and really just play this class as you, best way you can. So I have 5 planned tips. If I see questions down below or comments or anything like that, I can do some more. But in this video, we'll be doing 5. The first one we're going to do, and I think this is the biggest one, which is why I'm doing it first, is going to be your Essence Break VR window. So for those of you who do not know, and at this point you really should, the Essence Break VR window combines basically the left side of talents here, centered around your Essence Break and Demonic windows. So it happens on a cadence of 40 seconds because that is what Essence Break is. Now this window really is where a lot of our burst damage comes from, and it's enabled that because of Initiative, because of Tactical Retreat, because of Momentum, because of Essence Break, and because of Demonic, as well as, Know Your Enemy. So really, it's a lot of really strong talents. In this case, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 talents, and I guess 7 if you count First Blood, all working together to kind of give you this really, really big damage amp on a 40-second cooldown, which is a very, very strong thing to have. So I see a lot of people, just kind of messing up their Essence Break window. So the opener for Essence Break, you want to start with your Sigil Flame, like so. You want to enter with the Flame. You want to use your Hunt to come in. Oh, I'm not targeting anything. There we go. Hunt, Spell Rush. Then you want to use I-Beam. You want to turn 180 degrees and Vengeful Retreat through your target. Use Essence Break, then hit it with a Death Sweep, and then 2 Annihilations. Now, obviously, I paused there to kind of show a little thing there. Showing the turnaround, show a few things like that. But the basic idea is to start off with your I-Beam, come in with your Hunt, you make sure you have Momentum up. So I have my Momentum up, boom, I go in, I-Beam, obviously I don't have it on cooldown, I don't have it off cooldown right now, but you come in, the I-Beam, immediately after that I-Beam, you're going to turn 180 degrees. So if I'm facing the target like this, I'm going to turn around, and I'm going to hit my Vengeful Retreat button. That will send me through the target. Now this is a pretty small target dummy. If I was doing it like on a pack, for instance, I'd turn like this, I'd Vengeful Retreat, I don't have it, but I'd end up around here. You Vengeful through your target, and then as you're flying through your target, once you're past them, you're going to hit with your Essence Break and apply that dot to target. So we'll go over to this AoE pack here, and I'll show you guys. I'll just break my demon really quick. So we'll start off with Sigil to get some Fury, Immolation Aura, Spell Rush, then I will I-Beam on all the targets. I'll turn around, Vengeful Retreat, and for this pack, because it's so far, I'll Essence Break late, and then I'll Death Sweep, and boop, boop. But in that scenario, I probably got Essence Break right when I was about here. It's really important to remember and think about Essence Break as a big cone in front of your target. It's not that big, so if we open up Essence Break here, oh, it doesn't even have a yardage. I thought it had a yardage on it. But the cone is a pretty small triangle, so as long as you're aiming that cone at targets, then you should be pretty good. If you're facing a lot of enemies, you want to delay it a little bit until you're almost landed just to really get that cone to hit the targets. If you're against one single target, you can rip it almost immediately. My cooldowns are almost back, so I'll show you guys again. So, coming back up, so Immolation Aura, I'll Fell Rush through, I will I-Beam, I'll turn, Essence Break, Death Sweep, Annihilation, Annihilation. Of course, there's a variation where you use meta into Death Sweep again, but that's not really where I'm going to be showing today. Really, the big idea for your Essence Break combo is to turn 180 degrees so you don't miss out on that time having to rush back. Use the Essence Break when you're pretty much near the targets, on your other side. So I'm going to Essence Break here, boop, like that. You want to use it in a scenario where you're going to hit everything because it is a cone, and then you want to use your Death Sweep and 2 Annihilations. Or if you're in your opener, Death Sweep, meta, and then Death Sweep again. So I hope that kind of helped up clear up a little of things, help people see it a little bit and really get a picture of what the combo looks like. I'll do it one more time for you guys. I'll do the full thing here with the Metamorphosis opener. So we have everything back up. Sigil pre-pull, Immolation Aura, Rush in, Hunt, I-Beam, turn around, essence break. Oh, I missed. See, I missed everything there. So what happened there was, I think I pretty much essence braked around the corner. So I went and missed. But that's basically the opener there. Obviously, hit your targets with essence break. Don't be around a corner when you do it. Don't be in a weird angle. But if you are, reasonably well placed and are making sure that you're behind your targets or not inside of them, then you will hit them with the essence break and you will be all good. So the next thing I wanted to talk about are your glaives, specifically with the talents Furious Throws, Soul Rend, and Accelerating Blade. If you don't have those talents, Glaive doesn't really matter, has a really low priority, and isn't important at all. However, with these talents, throwing Glaives turns into a really, I don't know why that's up like that. Throw Glaive turns into a really powerful spender and a prio in your rotation. So when I have these things up, basically whenever I throw a Glaive out, it costs Fury, yeah, but it throws out 2 Glaives. Each of these Glaives will deal 20% increased damage for each enemy hit. So the first one is 20, and then it's 40, and then it's 60. Because they bounce 3 times. And each of them will leave a dot for 120% of damage dealt as Chaos, which I'm pretty sure scales as Mastery. As well, they both scale as Verse. They scale with Crit. So they scale with a lot of your stats. The Glaives themselves, if I go over into my G here, are a Hasted Recharge, about 8.3 seconds. But, when you're in meta, it cools down a little bit faster. So if I just get into combat here, and I throw out a singular Glaive, you can see that it'll do a reasonable amount of damage. We'll have my Glaives and my dots tick down here. It's full duration. You can see that Glaives is about 53k to 3 targets, and that's just one cast of them. And Throw Glaive itself did about 13 and 14k damage, with the dot doing about twice as much as that. So they're really powerful fillers. They actually themselves are a little bit stronger than your Chaos Strike in single target and in AoE, and should be used instead of that outside of Essence Break. But where I see a lot of people confused about it is they think Soul Rend, this thing, is a maintenance buff. And that's not true. So what you want to do with your Glaives is you just want to make sure you're not capping them, right? Capping on your Glaives is wasting your damage of them. You want to be throwing them out instead of Chaos Strikes anytime you have the Glaive talents enabled, right? So if you, like in this scenario, let's pretend all my buttons are on cooldown. I'm just Chaos Striking. I should throw out my Glaives instead because they are a better button to push. And the other thing with Glaives is you want to make sure that you're using them in periods where they'll have a higher damage increase. So if I do my whole burst rotation here, we'll say I'm not in my Essence Break right now. So I want to be using my Glaives when I have stuff like Momentum up, when I have stuff like Initiative because of the crit damage bonus. Really anything that will increase the damage the Glaives are dealing will increase the damage of your Soul Rend dot and make your Glaives do a ton more damage. So you want to have your momentum up when you throw them, if possible. You want to have your initiative or first strike or whatever up whenever possible, just to get that extra damage and to replace them, replace a Chaos Strike with them whenever you can. So, here I have initiative again, throw it in their Glaive. Oh, it's crit and it's doing a ton of damage. And then we'll see that my Soul Rend dot is really ticking for a lot. So as long as you are using your Glaives, as long as they're not capping, as long as you're using them with momentum whenever possible, as well as first strike initiative whenever possible, you're going to be in a great spot. In terms of priority, they will replace a Chaos Strike as long as you're not in Essence Break. So they are very valuable, even on single target. So I'm fighting a single target, it even does more damage than a singular Chaos Strike. So I'll go up, I'll Chaos Strike once. Give me some Fury. Oop, Chaos Strike once. We can see that combined with everything, Chaos Strike really isn't that valuable. I think I crit on my Chaos Strike and I didn't on my Soul Rend. Yeah, I crit on my Chaos Strike, I didn't on my Glaives. A little skewed there because I crit on the Chaos Strike, but the same idea, rests. Your Glaives and your Soul Rend are going to be a little bit more valuable than Chaos Strike and Annihilation on a singular target. Outside of that, the other thing is you want to make sure you just have them off cooldown before you go into Demonic. So let's say I'm on pull here, I'll throw out both. I'll Fell Rush again into my I-Beam, and then I'll start into the Vengeful Retreat combo window like I showed you guys at the start of this video. So that whenever I'm out of Demonic, I don't have my Glaives capping, and I can just throw them out again and do some more damage. So that's the Glaives. Nothing too serious. Last thing, don't Glaive your Demon. It's wasting a ton of damage. You want to just cleave the Demon down. If you're going into a big burst window, then you can Glaive Demon. But otherwise, keep that Demon there, cleave off of them, don't Glaive them down. And that's kind of how you use the Glaives and how you get the most damage out of them. The next thing I want to talk about is going to be your initiative talent. Now this talent is very strong, just for a few reasons. One, it procs a lot. Almost any target can proc it. I'll get into that in a second. But 2, having 12% extra crit for 5 seconds, while it might not seem like a lot, is actually a really big deal. Not only does that crit just add on to your stats here, now I'm unbuffed, 32%, whatever, it also adds the chance to crit, which increases how much damage you can get out of, know your enemy, because you're critting more often. But it also adds to that know your enemy damage, and just gives you flat 8% critical damage at all times, maybe a little bit less than 8%, off the top of my head, but whatever, around 8% critical damage at all times whenever you have the initiative buff up, which is fairly often, especially because of tactical retreat. So you want to be going around these initiative windows. Now, normally on initiative, you're going to having your essence break window, whatever, because that's just how it's going to line up, right? Your essence break is on a 40-second cooldown, VR is on a 20-second cooldown, so you'll have it for every other one. But what do you do otherwise? Right, so what are some other really strong things to hit in that crit window? Well, one of them is going to be the hunt. The hunt is going to be a really strong option while you're within, critical strike window, while you get that first strike. So I'll use my sigil here. I'm just going to hunt in. And you can see that that thing getting boosted by crit leads to a lot of damage, especially on 5 targets. You can see it is just doing a ton of damage to from the hunt here. I crit it. I think I only crit a few things here. But just getting crit on the hunt leads to a ton of damage for you. We'll wait to drop out of combat here, because the other thing that's going to be really powerful, if you've been lucky enough to get this trinket, is going to be Manic Grief Torch. Now, this Manic Grief Torch is very, very strong. Am I out of combat yet? I don't even know. Manic Grief Torch, yeah, there we go. Very, very strong with your first strike bonus here, because it also can crit. See here, I actually got more crits than I did normal hits there. So when your Grief Torch hits, it hits for even more damage. You can see here, one cast of my Grief Torch did 326,000 damage, and that is only a normal eye level Grief Torch. It's not even that crazy. So combining this initiative window with those big strong things when you're not in your VR essence break window is going to be very, very good for your overall damage. The other thing is making use of ads and even your demon spawn to get more procs of initiative. So I'm going to go in combat while I talk about this, and hopefully we can get a demon out. So anything that can hit you, or is an enemy that you can hit, will proc this initiative. So in combat, if you can, in an M plus pack, maybe you can do this thing where you don't hit one of them until a little bit later. But that's gonna be one of those ways. Another way is these demons. So if you can hit your demon before it hits you, obviously I didn't manage that here, then you will actually proc initiative. You see there, I kind of broke it and I got my initiative thing back. We'll see if another one can spawn here while I'm in combat. Maybe I can try and hit it before it spawns. But if you can hit your demon before it spawns and hit you, then you will get your initiative proc. And this actually happens very often. Like if I have an immolation aura there, boom, you can see I got my first strike bonus from Infernal, from it spawning before I actually got the bonus out, and before yada yada yada. So initiative, first strike, very, very, very strong. The fact that you can refresh it, the fact that it can proc off of any target, the fact that it can proc off of your demons that spawn, leads to a really, really strong talent. And you want to be using that with your hunt, with your essence break, death sweep, with your trinkets, right? So you get the most out of it and just do a lot of damage. The next thing I want to talk about is, now bear with me here, but it's momentum. Now momentum, I know a lot of people are avoiding it, but I do want to talk about it because it's very important. It's going to be used in a lot of scenarios. You can drop it in some builds, yada, yada, yada. If you don't like it, drop it, whatever. But I think momentum itself is actually something a lot of people don't understand in the right way properly. You know what I mean? Obviously, yes, you want to have momentum up as much as you can. If Fell Rush is off cooldown, then you're wasting damage, yada yada yada. But if you kind of change your thinking on how momentum is, and really just make sure you have it before you do big damage moments. So let's say I have it before I throw my glaives out, right? Because that's a big damage moment. So I throw my glaives out, boom, that 8% is doing really well. I have it before my essence break window, which happens normally, right? So I do that, I go through. You can see I have momentum the whole time. I do it before I beam because that's a big damage hit. Right? So momentum, a lot of people think it's this, nasty maintenance buff that people don't like. You have to use your movement for damage. You have to use all these things that'll get you killed. You have to do this thing where you're playing this silly mini game, and that's all fair and valid criticism for this talent that people don't enjoy. But I think a lot of people are really just thinking of it in the wrong way. They're thinking of it as this thing to play, like they're kind of forced them to play a certain way instead of this flow state buff, where you just want to use a Fell Rush before any of the big damage events. Really just get a lot of damage out of that. So momentum, Really, I think people are thinking about it in the wrong way. As long as you're using your momentum before your I-beams, before your glaives, before your death sweeps, before your VR window, which will happen because of Vengeful Retreat, obviously, then you're going to have it up often as well, especially if you're using your things like Vengeful Retreat, like the Hunt, and like your Unbound Chaos procs. Momentum will naturally be up a lot. So really, for those of you who have played with momentum a ton, this is something that you'll probably used to, yada yada, like, why are you telling me this useless talent? But for those of you out there who don't like momentum, who haven't really tried it, try it out, just using Unbound Chaos, Vengeful Retreat, and the Hunt for now, and then move on and try and think about, okay, I have Glaives up, let me Fel Rush first, throw my Glaives, I get the damage there. I-beam's coming up, let me Fel Rush first before I-beam to get the damage up there, and then like Death Sweep's coming up, let me Fel Rush. And that's going to really get you in the habit of using momentum in the proper way and doing a ton of damage with that talent. Now, I will say momentum is whitelisted for Havoc stuff only. So if I momentum before my Grief Torch, for instance, like I'm going to do right now, it's not going to do more damage. It doesn't really benefit from the 8%. You just see it did around the same as before in my initiative thing. I think I got less crits than that time though. But it's not going to gain damage off of that. But all your Havoc talents will. So if you just use your momentum before those big talents, before like I-beam, before Death Sweep, before your Glaives, then you're going to end up doing a lot of damage with it. And it should be a little bit easier for people to hopefully wrap their heads around. So in all honesty, for the last tip, I just want to kind of give a general talk about cooldowns and general things that you as DPS can do to get some more damage out of it. I think one of the big things that a lot of people play really safe, and realistically, yeah, playing safe is good. There's tons of scenarios where you want to play safe, but a lot of people end up waiting a long time before they're actually going into like dungeon pulls. Raids doesn't matter as much, but obviously you can greed a little bit. But a lot of people end up waiting a ton of time, for the tank to grab aggro or whatever, before actually going in. And yeah, this is good, but if you're playing with a tank of your skill level, then they shouldn't have any issue getting aggro from you. You shouldn't really be ripping aggro. So a really good thing to practice and work on is to just kind of do damage as you get there. Obviously, you can delay your Hunt or whatever a little bit, but having your tank grab things and then immediately just going in with a Sigil Flame, Immolation, or going in with Fel Rush, throwing out some Glaives, and then using the Hunt is a great way of getting that aggro, getting your damage going early, and going into like your big burst combo, whatever, without actually risking grabbing threat from anybody or stuff like that. So you want to go in, you want to do that damage right away. Another thing is that AoEs and all that stuff, they have cast times. I myself am victim for this a ton, where let's say a big circle happens, like on Algoth, our last boss. You have a few seconds before actually needing to run out. Same with like a dispel thing on you. You have a little bit of time to actually damage and keep up DPS before needing to get away from your group. And as Havoc, you're really good with that because you have so much movement, because you have so much just natural speed, because of our mastery, because you can just kind of, glide away, and gliding is fast and stuff like that. Oh, I just drummed by accident. Whoops. Oh well. That glide. But you have a ton of ways to get out of there if you, have a mechanic on you or there's a thing happening. So getting a little bit more damage there is also a really good way to do that damage. Last thing I want to talk about in this general section is just cooldowns. You don't want to hold them. The one exception is if you're playing Cycle of Hatred with Essence Break, you do want to use Essence Break while you're in meta of some variety, either that being demonic or your actual meta. So you do want to end up holding that a little bit. But otherwise, generally it's just best to send your cooldowns when you have them. At higher levels, at higher key levels and mythic rating and stuff like that, there might be scenarios where you need to hold your cooldowns for a window that you need to burst down, or you need to hold your cooldowns for a priority add to swap to. But in general gameplay and in general sense, holding your cooldowns to try and get like a better moment will lead you to just missing cooldown usage and having overall less damage than if you just kind of sent them. So that's kind of just like a little general tips for you. I didn't really have anything too specific for Havoc that I could think of from making this video. So I wanted to just give a little bit of general tips there. Those apply for any class, not just for Havoc. But greed a little bit more than you are. You generally can play safe and still be a little bit more greedy. That's what a lot of the best players are the best at, greeding and still living. As well, don't hold your cooldowns. Generally doesn't end up working as well for you. Those are my 5 tips for Havoc Demon Hunter in Dragonflight Season 1. Hopefully, one of these things in this video helped you out, and you can get a little bit more extra DPS out of your character in this season. I think Havoc's really fun. I think there's a lot of complexities to it, though. So if you have any questions, anything I didn't cover, drop a comment down below. If you liked the video, leave a like. And if you really enjoyed it, consider hitting the subscribe button. It would really help me out. I'll have a ton more content coming out. Also, join my Discord, links in the description. Follow me on Twitch. I'll be streaming there a lot this week. I had put a schedule out. I'm actually streaming at 2 p.m. Eastern today. And with that, I hope you enjoyed the video. I'll have more content this week. So thanks for watching. Peace.